from these Germans who now live in the hollows of the earth with this technology, and they have now a base on the dark side of the moon. That moon mission, and we did a show on this with Ken Johnston talking about the moon, but that moon landing never happened. Ken set himself on the show, which I don't know if you heard because you got knocked off that day.
Yep,
They were told, now who told them? I didn't get to ask him because we had a lot of shenanigans on that episode, but they were told to stay off the moon. But astronauts had seen, when they were orbiting the moon, they saw equipment that was on the backside of the moon, like towers and craft there on the backside, which suggests that there is life on the backside of the moon, and it's not alien technology, it's German Nazi technology. If there's going to be, and this is what I've been getting, because I'm a psychic intuitive, I've told you some things, Nancy, about what I get, and I think I got all this stuff because from a very early age I've been getting it, and I've been protected, and I mean protected because I can write volumes of books on some of the stuff that I've been through. But what I'm getting about this, in answer to your question, is there's probably going to be a false flag operation, and these Fourth Reich Nazis, which is what I call them, are going to appear in this alien-type craft and make it appear as though they are from another world and they are, our salvation, when in fact they are Fourth Reich Nazis who stole Nikola Tesla's inventions and are coming back here to play their games with us and make us believe that they are this higher power.
Yeah, I'd see, and nothing, Stephen, surprises me, especially, knowing what I know too. Nothing really surprises me, and, one thing everybody says, oh, we got to have disclosure, but see, the truth of the matter is that it's already been disclosed, because anybody who's seen them, whether they think they've seen them or not, they've seen them, it's already been disclosed. So to have a formal disclosure, I don't think is that important, but, people are demanding it. And I think it's more important to demand the truth about 9/11 and some of the other things that we are being shoved down our throat with more than the UFO disclosure. But everybody seems to think that UFO is real important. And they are our savior, but they are not, folks. They're truly not.
You ask about the UFO technology. You ask about free technology. You ask about 9/11. You ask about the banking and all this. You ask about the FBI, the CIA, who's never done a good thing in their lives. It all goes back to the man, George Herbert Walker Bush, who was a Nazi spy, came here, was sent here by Adolf Hitler, and his name is George H. Sherp Jr., who I proved does not have a U.S. birth certificate, was not on the 1930 census, was legally allowed to be President of the United States. And George, if you're listening, I am going to see you in handcuffs because you were in the White House the day of 9/11 while your son was in Florida reading a book upside down, and you are going to pay dearly for this. And if you don't pay in this lifetime, I will assure you that your life review, because we all get one, Nancy, is not going to be a pretty one.
It shouldn't be a pretty one. I mean, there's been so many crimes committed against the American people. You raised the thing with banks. Right now, the banks, they are making so much money, and all of the wonderful money that our government has given them since Obama's administration, when they were supposed to help the public, has totally been a farce. And it is at the American taxpayers' expense. So again, there are so many things that are going to be coming out because truth always comes out. It may not come out the right way, but it always comes out, and truth is going to come out. 9/11 truth is going to come out. Bush is going to come out. Obama's going to come out. It's all going to come out. But it can only come out, in my opinion, Stephen, if the American people stop allowing themselves to be duped as victims.
Well, I'll give you another one. When I was in New Jersey, and this was, I went to visit a friend of mine who was a manager of an employment agency. Right after I got my pink slip from this technical staffing company, I decided I was going to go and work for another company, so I said, let me go down there and at least see the manager or the general manager and see if I can get them to interview me. So I went down there, and this girl that I knew was assistant manager in the office, and she introduced me to the manager who's going to get me interviewed with the district manager. So while this was happening, this was like about 4 days after 9/11, because I told you I got canned 3 days after. This was like Friday. I didn't wait, more than 1 day before I went looking for another job. So I'm in this office, and guys were coming back they had buses that they had coming back, and 50 guys at a time were coming off the buses, and they were coming home from work, because I had got there about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So I asked my friend, I said, where do the guys work today? She says, they're all working at the World Trade Centers, right? And I said, wow, really? She said, yeah, on 9/12, we got a call from City of New York, and they asked us how many guys we could send. So she said, we can send you at least 100 or more. So they said, good, we'll start giving us at least 150 people a day for the cleanup. So while she's telling me this, these guys are coming in, and they all got their boots on, they all have their back belts, they have different clothes that they had to wear. A lot of them were required. They were telling the company they had to require guys to have steel-toe boots. So all these guys who went on this job had to either buy or get boots that were steel-toe or very sturdy boots. So what I came to learn was that some of the guys were showing me the bottom of their shoes. The shoes were melted because the ground, they said, was still burning hot. Now here it is 4 or 5 days later. This was Friday. It happened this was the next week. It happened on Thursday. So next Monday, which was like 4 or 5 days later, when I went to the other job, these guys were showing me their shoes that were melted because they could not walk around the perimeter of that building because the ground was that hot.
Yeah, which it shouldn't have been. So, if people go and they see the movie that Richard Gage has done, I think maybe, hopefully, a lot of facts are going to be exposed, and the American people are not going to be able to stay in denial. At least I'm hoping. You have no idea how much I'm hoping that was going to happen. Let's also talk about, in the last few minutes, because like I said, I was only going to do about another half hour. Let's talk about, like, the Patriot Act, 1 and 2. Most people only know about 1.
Okay, what would you like to talk about?
Well, the Patriot Act was a way for the government to take everything away from everybody at their beckoning call and leave you with nothing. And if you don't like what's going on, they also have the right to jail you indefinitely and take everything that you own. I don't believe that the American people know everything that's in the Patriot Act because, first of all, the people who signed the Patriot Act, they didn't even read all of it. In fact, they read very little of it, if any, because they were questioned about it because people were asking how they could sign something like this. And most of their comments was, well, we didn't, read the whole thing. We only got, like, the synopsis of it. Well, to me, when people that we have elected do not do things for our best interest, they need to be de-elected and put someplace where they can't hurt anybody. And the Patriot Act is a big way of hurting us. I mean, it changed everything. And it was all set up according to 9/11 and all of that happened. Would you agree with that?
Oh, I agree 100%. These men who are elected to the Senate, and these women elected to the Senate, they're all fascists. They all get paid to do these things, to look the other way. They're not Americans as people think. It's a shame that they get away with what they get away with because they get paid by the Federal Reserve. They get paid money on the sweat of every American's brow, the taxes, because what happens is each person is collateral for the debt that's incurred that we have to pay back. So these congressmen and senators get to do whatever they want under the pretense that they're helping when they're not helping, they're only hurting.
Yeah. What, Stephen, do you think it's going to take for the American people to actually wake up? I mean, what do you think it's going to take?
And they take an act of nature, and when I kid around, maybe they'll use harp on themselves. Maybe the guy who's supposed to hit the harp button gets drunk that night and points it in the wrong direction. He points it at the White House.
That might work.
I'm hoping that that they hire wrong way Peach Fuzz to go and hit the button when you're supposed to go towards Iran or Iraq. It ends up going to the District of Columbia and blows up the joint.
That would be pretty historical.
That's the kind of ending I would like to see. I did a video the other day. I went and found a company in the District of Columbia, and they said that for $4 a square foot, they would demolish any building, commercial or domestic. So I looked up, well, how big is the White House? It's 55,000 square feet. I times it by $4 a square foot. So in my estimation, it would cost $220,000 to have these guys just steamroll and get rid of it. That's a lot less money to pay than $1 trillion debt. So I put out a video with that. So, okay, Barack, take this.
Steve, give out the websites for people to check out your stories that we talked about last week and a little bit about what we talked about this week.
Well, one of the places they can go to is, we'll cut right to the chase. It's obamaisosama.webs.com. That's obamaisosama.webs.com. And they're going to find videos that will show indisputable proof that he posed as Osama bin Laden in a phony Taliban photo shoot. Whether you like it or not, I've had palmists look at it. I've had the best Photoshop guys in the United States look at my stuff, and they can't debunk it. So if these people are telling me that they're sick in their stomach when they see this because they wanted to prove me wrong, Nancy, and they could not.
Mm-hmm.
Now, another website they can go to is youtube.com/WEBFLIXSGUY. That's youtube.com/WEBFLIXSGUY. And then I have a sister site. It's on dailymotion.com/webflixguide. And on that site, it's out of France. And because I get censored on YouTube, for example, my cameras don't move. Where I used to get hundreds of thousands of millions of views, now all of a sudden my counter on a movie might go to 10. I don't even see it go to 20 anymore, let alone thousands. So I decided to create a site in France, dailymotion.com/webflixguide, because, if you don't want me in America, I'll go. I'm okay with that because, you're not leaving anything left, because when Barack is done, it's all going to be rubble. And then another site I have is StevensWorldTV.com. That's StevensWorldTV.com. That's Stevens World TV. So those are places that people can go. And then I also have another site, YouTube.com/ my last name, SindODUCTIONS. That's youtube.com/ Sindoni Productions. On that site, I have over 400 and some odd videos. And I don't post on that site anymore, Nancy, because every time I would go in, they would try to change my password, untype what I was typing. They would remove some of the buttons. And every time I would contact YouTube and tell them that my rights are being violated, my camera doesn't work, none of these things work, they acted like I had two heads. So finally I says, okay, I'm just going to disconnect the account, so I'll never sign in that account again. That means if I don't sign in, the hackers can't sign in either. So you know what? I win anyway,
Mm-hmm. Which is cool.